Thursday, and they were opened, and interviews were set up on Friday for Monday. Mayor Favre and Mike Rizzo and myself set in close to 6 hours worth of interviews on Monday. But it was a really good process. It was a very educational process. Some great firms. Quite frankly, of the 6 of them, I think 5 of the 6 are perfectly capable, and I don't think there would be a bad choice.
That's great.
However, there were some questions that I wouldn't say they were raised. They confirmed some of our questions that we've had, including how can Louisiana do this so much more easy than the state of Mississippi? I will tell you, it's not just Mississippi that has this rigorous process at all. But what we were able to do is figure out the exact process that Louisiana was using through multiple different people and bring that to MEMA and say, hey, can we run this up the chain one more time to make sure there's not a way to do this simplified process? Because we as a city would much prefer to do the simplified process where the city is basically just sending a building department out there to make sure that all the building permits and, that just normal processes are being followed. So we have sent that on for questions to hopefully be answered, hopefully relatively pretty fast. Let's see, where was I going with that? Oh, so 2 things. So we don't have a recommendation for y'all tonight because quite frankly, who the city of Bay St. Louis needs to work with is going to depend on what process we have to use. Because some of these firms are using the process that the state of Mississippi currently seems to require, but they're not local. So when I say not local, I mean like you need to get on an airplane and go see them. And that's fine. I mean, I think they're completely capable of doing it, but we just want to make sure the process. And so we've reached out to MEMA, we've talked to MEMA, we're waiting on some answers there. So then hopefully when we get an answer, we can make an actual recommendation as to who would be the most qualified to help the city of Bay St. Louis. Do you have another? Also, please keep in mind too, that we have not yet, we sent off for a cost estimate or cost adjustment for the FEMA grants. I do need to ask the homeowners to get updated quotes from their contractors.
Okay.
So if y'all could get that, I'd greatly appreciate that, sooner the better. And then, so yeah, it's more just to stay tuned, but do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just one comment that Louisiana in particular compared to like Pennsylvania was a lot more like our setup. Well, at least what we're reading and MEMA's reading is the rules. In Louisiana, and they've done thousands of these since Katrina. That process,
Under a different grant
it's under
program.
FMA.
Yeah, flood mitigation assistance.
But they're using, they're still similar. In that situation, the homeowner has the contract with the contractor directly. The city is not party to the contract, which removes liability from the city. In Pennsylvania, it's just the opposite. The city has the contract with the contractor, and the homeowner cannot speak to that contractor. I mean, there's strict rules. But at that point, the city may be exposed to some liability. And then also, in Pennsylvania compared to New Jersey, they actually let them apply for advanced funds compared to not advanced funds. So there's some of those language that we've talked to MEMA about to say, can you look at this? So trying to move that up the chain. But again, I think 5 of the 6, like Heather said, were completely qualified, have done thousands of these. 1 had no experience in this arena.
Can we ask?
So just keep in mind,
Go up there, okay.
moving forward, there's nothing new that came out of these agreements or these meetings that we had or these interviews. It was just more of a confirmation of process and being able to have that confirmation to bring back to FEMA and say, why can't we do, because since the beginning, that's what we've said, how do we pass this on? How do we be that pass-through entity? So that's what we're just trying to verify. And if we can't, we can't. But
FEMA districts too.
yes, because we are, and keep that in mind, and we've talked about this before, we are in a different FEMA region. So regions, for some reason, they do things, each region does things differently, which blows my mind because we're all following the same federal requirements. but I guess interpretations can be a little different.
Okay.
Tim.
Questions, Mr. Salvo?
So FEMA's gonna send it back up through FEMA for the responses?
Yes.
Okay. And just keep me posted. So
Yeah.
we can-
So can we
We
ask
have in
a
writing
question?
right now that we legally cannot do the way that the state of Louisiana does it.
Right. Well, we can move forward, with the grant administrator today.
I don't think the funding's been approved.
Well, the funding's has not
Yeah,
been approved
yeah,
because we
yeah,
need
update
cost,
the
we were just asked for cost
administration.
estimate, but more
Right.
importantly is I would not feel comfortable recommending to you a grant administrator when I don't know what process this is, because what administrator I think ultimately will be recommended will all deal with what process we
In the,
what contractor has experience with the process that we, as the state of Mississippi, has to use.
if the simplified process would be approved, then it would take out the state procurement laws and they could be easier.
There's
with their
still
own
procurement
contract.
laws, but they're more relaxed.
Okay.
Takes out the,
So in Louisiana, they allow the homeowner to go get three quotes on their own
Mhm.
and bring back either the low or best quote. So they don't have to use the lowest, but they've got to justify it.
Yeah.
In
which we've done that.
Pennsylvania-
I mean, this is not new information. Again, this
Pennsylvania
is,
is a sealed bid, just like we would open up any other bid.
and I tried to get these firms to, give me, okay, what is your legal authority? How are you doing this? And I mean, there wasn't one. There wasn't a specific, like, oh, go look at statute, whatever. That was not there. So,
So they cannot, the firms we interviewed today, except one, cannot administer the Swift grant today in the state of Mississippi, as it is written.
I'm not following your
Like
question.
we're saying, none of these grant administrators can administer the grant in the state of Mississippi today as it is written.
One of them probably.
Or what I'm saying.
Well, no, I don't agree with that statement at all.
So,
One that
It's-
has experience that's close to what we have.
Yes, I mean,
okay.
I think they were all capable of
Yeah.
coming in
I think
and
5 out of 6 can do the work.
can do
Yeah.
it, but some of them would have to come in
Change
and
processes.
completely change their process, rewrite their process, come up with a whole different process. And I would prefer, and I think these ladies sitting down here would probably prefer not to have to do that if we have somebody that can already do it. But again, I don't want to go with the person that can already do that if there is a way that we can have the simplified process that the city does nothing more than basically our general building inspector jobs.
Right.
I would not want to put that on the liability, I wouldn't want to put that on the city if we don't have to.
Which one did they seem to be more confident? Like when you said that they would have to do another process. Did they look like doe in headlights when you say that, or did they say, well, we could work like that? What did they say? When you said they may have to do a different
As I've stated
process,
multiple times, I think they were all capable of doing it.
but they didn't seem to flinch from that. Is what I'm saying. They said, well, we could roll with that.
That was more of, why do y'all have to do that?
Because they said so, right?
And that's what I've been asking for 2
Why is
years.
Mississippi special?
Yeah.
Why are we so special?
They clearly said, especially in Louisiana, all of the jurisdictions do not want to be party to that contract
Yeah.
because of the liability. And that's how Louisiana was set up.
Is Mississippi in a different region with FEMA than Louisiana?
Yes. that's
Oh,
what
we're
we said for
four.
2 years.
We're
We
we're
were in-
four, and they're
And they'd have
five,
Six, I
six,
believe.
six. Okay. Did you have any questions?
Yeah. It's
They don't
frustrating.
even follow their own guidelines from region to region.
I can't. I'm sorry.
So they
Okay.
don't follow the same guidelines from region to region, which
Yeah,
is
that's what's
crazy.
crazy.
When it's the federal.
So what are we gonna do? Upset for another 2 weeks or what?
So do we have a timeline of what we can,
Until we hear back from me.
I feel like we as a city have put this out and streamlined it as fast as we possibly can. We opened proposals on Thursdays and started
Right.
interviews 9 o'clock yesterday morning.
Y'all did
So,
great on that. I
mean,
appreciate
I
that.
don't know what else we could
Well-
do there,
The
but.
only thing we did yesterday was sit through these meetings.
Oh,
And
right.
again,
Every
hour
until we
now.
get these cost estimates, which, as I said, we've
Okay.
just received this request, so, you're not in limbo, because I'm not going to tell you to go start
Right.
paying a grant administrator $100 an hour, $150 an hour, if you don't know if the grant's going to pay for it.
right?
So,
I agree.
Okay.
And so we requested a grant, some, change of grant, right, to pay for administration fees a while back, or
We
whenever.
haven't heard anything yet.
I'm still waiting.
Well, no, we've heard that, that's what I'm talking about, I need the cost, remember the cost estimates that I needed.
Did FEMA or MEMA, who wanted the cost estimate updated, which I think is great?
Both.
Okay,
I mean, that ultimately comes from FEMA. FEMA submits it to
Right.
FEMA, and FEMA has
Okay.
asked us to get updated cost estimates.
I'll get that
to back
tomorrow.
our supporting documentation.
Okay, that sounds great.
Cool. All right, keep pushing the rope.
Thank you.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
We've been
I
trying.
would also just comment that all the companies that do this regularly said there are multiple firms that lift houses and do this across Louisiana. So there's a bunch of them that are good.
Yeah,
We should be able to get multiple bids.
Cool.
mine just has to be, they can lift a brick house from the bottom up like a big pancake.
Yeah, which apparently is not uncommon.
That's good
And
news.
this is in
Good news.
Louisiana.
I asked Caitlin to print out, or, Ms. Teresa to print out, I did a spreadsheet and scored all these 6, vendors. Got comments as well. Got 2 vendors that are tied, actually, on their score sheets. So I guess administration will do a score sheet and compile a score to see who's has the best score, and then I guess we negotiate or ask, only one firm met a 5% management fee. The rest of them are
No,
hourly.
that's not, so that's not actually accurate. So I believe the firm that you're talking about said they would charge 5%.
Yeah,
The
that-
grant only allows 5% to be paid, so which
Maximum
most of that's the
right.
amount that can be paid. So the other ones just gave you hourly rates, and it would be, the contract would say ultimately up to that amount.
Up to that.
And I hate that you were not able to participate in
No.
those interviews because, I don't think you could really get a fair understanding of what this process entails without being in those
Yep.
interviews.
No, I told Mr. Rizzo that, I said I did have one firm, and I told him in an email, I wasn't sure how the interviews went, but this is, from reading all their documentation, and as we're supposed to do and grade them, as Mr. Rizzo put this score sheet together, we're supposed to score them and rate them. That's what I did, and I told him I didn't know how the phone interviews was, but these 2 were, neck and neck, and he said, yeah, this one, we didn't have a good warm fuzzy, and I'm like, well, that's.
Are there any local? No. They're all out of town.
But do they have
Closest to
like
New
people
Orleans.
that come in, or do they just do it remotely?
They would come in.
They come in, okay, good.
That's why, I mean,
No,
ideally.
no.
No, they
They were
don't.
not here, they were all via Zoom.
No, I mean, whenever one is selected, would they be on boots on the ground, or would it all be remotely? Okay,
Yeah, both.
okay,
They will be
That's
here
why-
when we need them.
In an ideal world, that New Orleans, Baton Rouge region is an hour to 2 hours away, they could be here.
yeah,
And
Basically
they
on
do
demand.
inspections there, I mean, that was part of the discussion, is
Yeah.
when they have to do, it's kinda like building a house, you have draws on your bank.
Okay.
Well, they come for each one of those draws,
mm-hmm,
And sure.
everybody signs off. So it's ideal to have somebody close, however, those may not be the ones following the same
Right.
rules we have to follow.
Right.
So we may need like a Pennsylvania.
but I'm sure, I mean, if they're
She said
savvy
bring
enough, they're
clients.
gonna be able to make their
Well,
way here.
Well, quite frankly, the whole reason of getting a grant administrator is to help us with the muddy water. So I don't wanna muddy the water even further by bringing somebody in that is totally accustomed to doing something a completely separate way than the state of Mississippi is going to require. Because I already know what the state of Mississippi is going to require. I don't need help. I need help getting us across the finish line and helping with what Mississippi is going to require.
Right.
So that is the question on that.
Cool. All right, good discussions, thank y'all.
So
Thank y'all.
are we gonna be on the